further ado, I'm going to again go back to Michael Cullen. So Michael is going to give us a little bit of information on current scams and how to protect your finances, which I think is going to be very interesting. And I will stop sharing. And Michael, you can start your program when you're ready. And I need to
Sounds
give
great.
you sharing, don't I? Multiple. Okay. You should be able to share now.
Okay, cool, perfect. Let me take a look at this. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. And you all can hear me well, I'm assuming, based on the response.
Yeah.
Let's get kicking into gear. Also, I should probably mention that I am a resident in Sabre Springs, right over on the edge of Poway, so I'm constantly coming back in in and out of Poway. I mean, really, I feel like I'm basically a part of Poway, sitting out here. But yeah, and also we're going to be over at the Fall Festival, and we're really excited for that. SDCCU is, so y'all get to see my fingerprints all over that event booth. But let's get kicking into gear. At the very end of this, I'll be doing a little Q&A if anybody has any questions. So feel free to, either put questions in the chat if that means that it'll help you remember things, or, notate it, and then feel free to just like unmute and then ask the questions at the very end. And I'll let you know when that is. But for today's presentation, scams and how to protect your finances. So yeah, thank you again. One more time, I'm Michael Colon. I'm the Community Relations Officer for SDCCU. We're San Diego's largest locally owned financial institution, and we've actually been around since 1938. And so we're really excited. This is one of the services that we do provide to the community, our financial wellness presentations. And so let's get kicking into gear here. All right. So first off, scammers are always on the lookout for opportunities to take advantage of us, especially during times of vulnerability. And ultimately, their goal is to gain access to our personal information, whether that means our address, our maiden or middle name, or our passwords to our accounts themselves, credit card information, everything up in the middle and in between. Really just so that way they can get money out of us, they can scam us for what we own, And so during times of fear and uncertainty, oftentimes you'll see scammers setting up fake websites, sending phishing emails and smishing texts, and try to sell us phony products in an attempt to get in on it. Really, they just kind of have no sympathy or remorse. I mean, I've even heard of scams with those wildfires that are happening out in Maui. I've heard even of scammers who are trying to take advantage of that kind of situation, because they just, it's heartless. And, I'm actually born and raised in Hawaii, so that's a little soft spot right there. But they're going to do anything that they can to get our information. And through these slides, we're going to be talking about some of the things that they do, but also really some of the protective measures that we ourselves can take, some of the red flags that we can look for when it comes to protecting our information and ultimately protecting our finances. So first off, we just want to put it out there, avoid opening emails from unknown senders. I think that we've all, we've heard about those jokes of like a Nigerian prince who has like millions of dollars and wants to give us money if we just send our information and help him out. Like, if you see an email from an unknown sender, an unfamiliar person, or sometimes what you'll see is they'll actually create an email account with the name of somebody you might know, but the email address itself is fraudulent. Avoid opening those emails. Do not click on any links that might be inside of them. Pay very close attention, because these are some of the tactics that people will use in order to capitalize on us. When this presentation was originally created, it was created during COVID when we were doing a whole bunch of different financial wellness. So that's why you see the references to the CDC and the coronavirus. Fortunately, those types of scams, at least using COVID, have gone down, but still, this is a common scamming tactic that you'll see people using. So, and really in any sort of situation, visit trusted websites. If somebody's having you click a hyperlink in an email, don't do it. Just instead, let's say somebody sends you a fake email from Amazon, just go to Amazon.com directly. Type the URL into your web bar, go onto Google and, type it in, and make sure that you're going to the legitimate website, because if somebody's going to send you a hyperlink in an email, they can make that go to anywhere. So, first off, just don't open emails from unknown senders. And, even if you do, don't click on any of those links, because, if you really have an issue, you want to make sure that you take it up with whoever the original person or legitimate person may be. Next up, practice caution when donating. So kind of like what I mentioned, don't let names, or I should say, be cautious when it comes to sending donations. So I mentioned those wildfires in Lahaina, and people are going to do everything that they can in order to pull in your heartstrings and really take advantage of your compassion. But you want to make sure that whoever you're giving to is a legitimate organization. Don't let names that sound legit or sound like well-known charities confuse you and trick you into giving them money. If you're contacted by phone, don't agree to donate money without further researching an organization. Especially nowadays, you can always go onto a website and give money there rather than doing something over the phone from an unsolicited phone number. Also, as you're donating, never donate by gift card either. If you're going to make a donation, make it by check or credit card or PayPal or something rather than cash. So that way there's at least a paper trail that's being left. There's some defense mechanisms built into those things, right? Don't feel pressured to donate either, especially if somebody calls you and says to give now. You don't need to rush into that type of decision. People are going to try to play those types of psychological games with you when it comes to getting your money. So, there's no rush into doing it. Also, if you want to give, go to a charity's verified website and donate directly through the website. I think that's probably the safest way of doing it rather than giving through some sort of third party, And also, as you look up organizations, there are going to be people who maybe they sound like a smaller name and they say, hey, we're going to be giving directly to these people. I would advise you instead to give to an organization that has a reputation, that is legitimate. I mean, if you go onto their website, if you see news stories, or if you see government organizations who are posting their names, I would highly recommend, if you're looking for an organization to help Maui, if that's still a thing, Hawaii Community Foundation, there are some legitimate folks out there. Of course, the big names like Red Cross and everything. But yeah, just make sure that you always do your homework into who people are, because truly, especially in times like tragedy and emergencies, many of us are eager to help and to give to people who may be less fortunate than us or maybe going through a difficult situation, but scammers know that. And so just make sure that you're protecting yourself and you're taking the proper precautions. Also, oops, one too far ahead. Let's go back one. Here we go. Be careful when giving out your personal information. So, first off, just don't give out your personal information, like credit card, social security number, bank account information, especially not to a person who is calling you over the phone or maybe sending you an unsolicited call or an unsolicited text or email. like scammers will send fake messages in order to trick you into giving them your personal information. And so that type of information, again, it could be things like passwords, email addresses, it could be account numbers or social security numbers. Oftentimes with that kind of information, they can gain access to your email, your bank, other accounts, or they could even just sell your information to other scammers. Oftentimes because we're people, but we're humans, what scammers will do is if they can figure out your password to one account, then most likely you're still using that same password for a bunch of other accounts. And so they'll just take that, and then, even though it's his Netflix password, he might use that same account information for Amazon or their SDCCU account. And then they'll just try to plug it in. And if they gain access, bang, they've got you. So just be cautious when you're giving out personal information. Also sometimes scammers will send fake messages that say that they have some information about your account or a transaction that's been done. Be cognizant of that too, because sometimes people will just try to, throw out the straw man and see if it hits, and sometimes it does. And ultimately, all it takes is just one person to, or one mistake, really, before somebody gets access to your stuff. Sometimes messages might say something such as you want a prize or a gift, and then they'll ask you for personal information in order for you to claim it. Scam, scam, scam. That's a huge red flag. Also, if somebody's asking you, kind of like jumping back to the charity thing for a little bit, if somebody's asking you to send a donation, ask for an address so that way you can verify if the charity is legitimate or not. On to the next slide, and this is probably one of the biggest, most popular scams, at least that I've seen people that I know fall for nowadays. Avoid clicking unfamiliar links. So do not click on links that you don't recognize. Do not. People are going to be doing like phishing scams where they're going to send it to you via email, and then once you click on the link, they've got you hooked in. Also, because if somebody sends you a link over email, you don't know where the hyperlink may go. You don't know if it may download things onto your computer in the background. You have to be super cognizant and wary of it. Additionally, people do what they call smishing scams right now. So they'll send you a link via SMS, text message, SM smishing. And through that, they're going to pretend you might get text messages that say, hey, we're UPS, we have your package, click this link to claim it. What? I didn't order anything. Don't click it. It's not going to be from, it's no good. it's essentially no good. I've also seen people do similar scams over Instagram. So you'll get like a DM or a direct message from somebody that you know on Instagram, and they say, hey, click this link, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that they got hacked. And then when you click that link, then your account gets hacked. And then I've seen people who've been locked out of their accounts and they've lost all of the pictures and all of the memories and everything. They've had to create new accounts just simply because they accidentally clicked on a link that they thought was coming from a friend. But especially if it comes from a friend who maybe you don't talk to extremely frequently, or maybe if it kind of sounds like a friend, send them a text message on the side. Hey, did you send me this link? Is this you? Do a little bit of extra work because you don't want to be falling for these types of things. And unfortunately, I feel like that's something that's, especially on social media, especially Instagram, and especially coming from somebody who you do know, your guard's going to be a little bit more lowered towards all those things. And really, we always want to be careful. We always want to do our due diligence, and we always just want to take, even if it's just one extra step for confirmation, to just take that in order to protect ourselves. Additionally, I think it kind of goes without saying, try not to download files from unfamiliar people. That's kind of, sort of basic internet. I think we remember Napster and Kazaa back in the day, or LimeWire, and that. We definitely don't want any of that kind of trouble. And also, if something looks suspicious but you're not sure, feel free to ask a friend. Get somebody else's opinion, a friend, a family member, somebody who you trust, because yeah, it's always good to take that extra step, just so that way it'll save you a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble in the long run. All right. And for our final slide, reporting a scam. So ultimately, at the end of the day, being proactive about protecting our personal information is the best way to stay safe. If you do suspect that you got a fraudulent email, call, or text message, you can actually report it to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. And so that website is ic3.gov. And so if you go onto their website, you can actually let them know, you can submit a complaint about that type of activity. You know, it could come from if you were victimized yourself, or it could also come from the third party. So if you heard about a friend or family member who was scammed, you as a third party can also submit that claim as well. So the best way to process your complaint in that type of situation is to provide a bunch of information. IC3, so IndigoCharlie3.gov. IC3. I'll type that into the chat. Just IC3.gov. Yes. Perfect. Yeah. So if you want to file a complaint, you can make sure that you have the victim's name, address, telephone number, and email. Also, any sort of financial transaction information. So it could be the account information, the transaction date and the amount, and also who received the money. Also, you want to give the subject, the person who, you know, is possibly the scammer, have their name, their address, their telephone number, their email address, their website, and their IP address. As much information that they've given you that you can give to the FBI, get all of that and then send it over. Specific details about the situation. So maybe if there were any kind of conversations, what had they said? Who did they claim to be? And then ultimately what left you, you know, just the whole story. If there are any email headers or email addresses or things of that sort as well, if you have the email, even better. And also just any other relevant information that you believe is necessary to support your claim. So it's really important to give as much information as you possibly can, so that way, as they investigate, they have as much evidence and as many sort of trails that they can follow in order to, you know, hopefully catch the fraudster. So with that being said, that is the end of the presentation. If anybody has any questions, I can, you know, I'll be more than happy to go into it. If you need any sort of tips on, you know, other things to look out for and how to make sure, some other common scams, you know, feel free to fire away, throw it into the chat, or you can unmute and then feel free to ask it. But that's the end of the presentation portion itself. So anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I don't have any questions, Michael, but I definitely do have some comments. I appreciate that. That was great. And you know, it's so surprising how, like you said, how they attack our you know, our emotions, our feelings, like just our human nature, you know. And I think that you definitely keyed in on that, and that's super important, you know, specifically like what's going on in Hawaii and those fires, man. So, you know, if you do have any family out there, or if you know, a positive thought goes a long way. So I just want to send some good energy that way. Yeah, so again, thank you so much for bringing up the text message thing. That's huge. I get those a lot. The Instagram thing, I get those a lot as well. You know, I think the emails have cut down a little bit, but the whole link things, the links have definitely been, for some reason, just getting a lot. The UPS links and things like that have been getting a lot more frequent.
Mhm.
Even in our chat, supposedly this Michael Land president, he sent a link. I'm scared to click on that. So
I think you can trust that one.
you sure, Pam?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to do my due diligence. But yeah, thanks again, Michael. Sincerely appreciate your time, man.
Great.
Yeah,
And
thank you very much.
Camilo,
Yeah,
you came in a little bit late. Do you want to
I did.
introduce yourself too?
I did. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. My apologies on coming in late. I couldn't find the link, but thankfully this Michael Land was able to get me the information. But yeah, my name's Camilo Mayorga. I recently not only became part of the chamber, but also moved out here from Florida. I'm a fiduciary wealth manager, so I manage investments, portfolio manage. But yeah, that's kind of my day-to-day practice kind of thing. But I like to consider myself I describe myself by three words. I'm on this planet to impact, inspire, and empower people. Yeah, I'm very blessed with not only the ability but the opportunity to be able to connect with people, and it brings me a lot of joy to be able to be there for others, to listen to others, understand others, be very empathetic, and it's a good feeling to be able to help. So that's what I'm mainly here for. But I am very thankful that I do have the knowledge that I have, with not only portfolio management and taxes and things like that, but also with just, I guess, being the human that I am. So
Well, thank you.
yeah,
Great.
no, of course.
Yeah, Michael. So I'm also wondering about one thing I've noticed lately on Facebook is people coming in that I don't know onto a post, and they will uh, they will say, "Oh, I really like your posts. They're so interesting. Can we be friends?" Things like that. And I'm like, that's it. I never ever respond, and I usually try to like move them or get them off of the page because I just don't know. Either I'm being really unfriendly on Facebook, or that sounds like another way of getting to know someone who's trying to scam. I don't know if anyone else has had that um,
Yeah, big
situation.
time. And then they'll be like, I get those all the time. And they'll be like, hey, let's move over from, Facebook or LinkedIn. Let's move it over to WhatsApp is usually what it is. And then
Oh,
they start
really?
trying to develop a relationship and then trying to scam you some way or another. Yeah, I'm getting them all the
And
time.
yeah.
Mike, you would make it to that point. You're such a genuine guy that they commented on your post and you were like, oh, okay, yeah, like I totally got
Yeah,
you.
no, the latest what's really annoying is LinkedIn, right? And
Oh,
and
wow.
LinkedIn's the most professional of them all, and you get these ones that look legit from LinkedIn, and I look at her because I have everything private, and I'll look at her and be like, okay, it looks like she's a legit business person. They have like a business and it looks normal, and then next thing you know, the chat starts, oh yeah, move over to WhatsApp. I'm like, no. And
Oh,
then I
really?
unfriend them or block them or disconnect with them on LinkedIn. But it's so annoying.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I mean, LinkedIn is a place where you're going to normally connect with maybe people you don't know because of whatever business they're in,
Yeah.
right? Like I'll get them from educators, and I'll look at them to see if they're interested in the kinds of things that I'm interested in. And sometimes I will friend them, and other times I'll just ignore it. But I don't think I've ever had anyone want me to move over to another site. So that's interesting.
Your intuition, I think, Michael would definitely hop on that and say, just trust your intuition. Your intuition is definitely going to tell you which way to go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Michael, I had a quick question on have you ever in the banking, have you ever heard of people getting hacked through Zelle or Venmo? I've been hesitant to attach the Venmo to my credit union account because, you know, we got the trust account and pretty much everything hooked up to there, and me being in the payments industry and seeing all kinds of different hacks. So are Venmo and Zelle safe? Should we have any hesitation on linking those to our credit union or bank accounts?
You know, I'll say this. You know, I'm not a cybersecurity professional, so I'm going to lay that out first. I'll tell you what I know about the services, and then I'll tell you what I do personally, but that also won't necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's coming from SDCCU. First off, I do want to mention to Camilo, just because he mentioned Hawaii. Fortunately, all my family is over on Oahu, so they're all safe. I have friends who are from Maui. I've checked in on them. They said that their families are safe too. So I'm very just thankful for all of that. Also, I've got some family out in Florida. They live in Claremont area, Central Florida. So that's cool. Welcome to San Diego too. So when it comes to Zelle and Venmo, I do know that some financial institutions actually use Zelle as their main means of, person-to-person payment. So like, for example, I know that Chase Bank has Zelle actually tied into their app when it comes to sending payments. When it comes to Venmo, I believe they're owned by PayPal. So while I'm not, I imagine all of the sort of PayPal securities are also applied to Venmo as well. Now, all of that being said, I will say, Bank of America uses Zelle as well. Yeah. So I'll say what I do, and then I'll give my opinion, professional opinion on afterwards. For me, I do use Zelle. I do have that connected to my bank account. I do use Venmo, and that's kind of connected to my bank account, where if my Venmo balance gets too big, then I'll just wire money over using their free transaction. Like, it takes a couple days, but I'm in no rush. That's what I personally do. Now, from what I would advise standpoint, if you don't feel like, if you've done your homework and you still don't feel secure about it or whatever, there's no harm in not using the product. That's definitely the safest way to do it. Sort of like Pam, like ignoring the people on Facebook. Like, if you ignore these apps, your life isn't going to be any worse, So if you do feel like, still a question mark about it, I wouldn't fault you for not using it. Just because a bunch of people do, doesn't mean that you necessarily have to. There are other means of sending payment as well. And, usually when it comes to financial institutions, there is some sort of built-in person-to-person payment method as well. What I used to do with my Venmo for a long time is I used to just kind of have a floating balance in my Venmo. And, I would use that. So that way, if somebody paid me for dinner, I just keep it in my Venmo account. Next time we went out to dinner, I'd use it to pay them. So that way, at least it's still disconnected from your bank account. And, it can kind of operate on its own. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it kind of comes back around to if it feels fishy for you, there's no harm in not doing it. If a person on Facebook or LinkedIn feels fishy to you, there's no harm in disconnecting the conversation. And so those are all sort of my thoughts when it comes to Zelle and Venmo.
Perfect. Thank you. And yeah, that's what I do is just have it to send and receive and not connect it to the bank account using just Venmo so far. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's interesting. I have it connected to my bank account, and I've only used it with mainly people I know, but I don't know. I guess that doesn't help stop anyone from hacking. I also heard recently that that it's, maybe I just heard this, I don't know, that leaving money, that you shouldn't leave money in those accounts. But it kind of does make sense that if you just have some money in there, then if that gets hacked, that's all that gets hacked, maybe, but I'm
Exactly.
not sure.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine, is that the people telling you not to leave money in there would basically mean like that's an easier way to get hacked. So don't leave like hundreds of dollars in there or something. But the strategy of leaving some in there to just not have it connected to your bank at all, that's a pretty good strategy. In my
Mhm.
opinion, of course. I'm no expert either.
Yeah.
And maybe if
Hey.
the account looks too big, then, you know, pay for your friend, or like ask your friend to cover, and, you know, send them
Yeah,
send
that's a good
money,
one.
bring the balance lower. So yeah.
It's a good guy.
And I see we have Amy has just come in. I don't know if you want to say hello, Amy.
Yeah,
Morning.
Amy?
Sorry, I'm late.
No problem. Well, we just had a very good presentation on banking scams and internet scams. I know, you think that that you're really sophisticated and no one's going to get anything over on you. But I'll tell you one funny story. Recently, I had someone called me on the phone saying they're from Publishers Clearinghouse, and they they were really good. I mean, he went on and on with certain questions and about having what kind of payout do you want, and the team is like 10 minutes away, they're going to be there in a minute. And I mean, it just kept going on and on. And I kept going, no, this can't be real. And it was, oh no, this is real. And then I'm like, well, maybe this is real, and so he got all the way, like I'd spent maybe 20 minutes on the phone with him, saying, he's, checking on these things and telling me how it's all going to work, how they're going to come in, how they're going to present it. And then he gets to this part, this very end part, when I said, well, I'm not at home right now, I'm at work. So if they're going to my house, I need to leave to go home. And he's like, oh, okay. How long will it take you to get there? And when you're on your way, stop at CVS and pick up this gift card, because I mean, and the minute he said that, I was like, oh, I just spent 20 minutes with this guy. And I felt like such an idiot, I mean, he was really good. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding? And, so that was when I probably should have reported to that website you were talking about, the IC3Gov, which I just didn't think of. I was just so mad at myself that I was like, as soon as I said that you're scamming me, he hung up too, because he figured it out that I figured it out. I wasn't going to go for the going and buying a gift card but I think that's really good information when we get in those kinds of crazy situations, to get as much information as possible so that we can report it. Because, if that person is out there, he's going to get someone.
Mm-hmm.
If he got me to talk to him for 20 minutes, it's amazing what's out there. So
yeah, and I can say from the government side, we hear so many similar cases like that. I'm not sure how prevalent this is anymore, but there was a lot of, especially around tax time or after a tax date, there would be a lot of phone calls to folks saying that you owe the government X amount of money. And, you hear some really unfortunate stories of folks that take these calls and that sense of urgency of, we need to resolve this right now. We need to resolve this right now, or, all of these things can happen. And some folks actually driving directly to the bank with them still on the line, and then wiring over thousands of dollars to pay for this low tax bill. I think the other one was parents getting calls from their kids' universities that their tuition is past due and they're going to be dropped from all of their classes if they don't immediately send them through Western Union the balance of their semester and such. And I think it is typically for targeted towards older individuals, unfortunately. But we would take similar steps that were reported in this presentation. We had a line for the FBI where they can report them, but unfortunately, a lot of times those phone numbers are just duplicate phone numbers that they're using, or I'm not sure if they're pass-through phone numbers. But we even, I'm under the state treasurer's office, and we even had an instance where our mainline phone number was being duplicated. And we realized this because they actually ended up calling us while they were duplicating our phone number and selling us on the same scam that they were from the treasurer's office, and
That's
et cetera, et
crazy.
cetera. And we kind of indulged them for a little bit just to see where this was going, what the talking points were, until we told them, actually, no, we're the treasurer's office and you're duplicating my phone number. That was the only time that they actually hung up on someone instead.
Yeah, it happens.
Definitely. It happens far too often.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, with that, I don't know if there's any other comments or questions for Michael. Anyone? Okay. Well, I guess we're ending a little bit early, and you have a little bit of a 10-minute gift of time. So thank you all very much. Next time we'll see. I'll let you know. I'll let you know who's coming up next. Okay, I've got quite a few people who are interested in doing some presentations, so I'll let everybody in on it soon. And
if it's October, that would be nice, though, Pam.
yes. Oh, okay. All right. So you are next. Great. So we get to hear from the government next. Yay. Right. Thank you. And I know I have other requests I'll get to as soon as I can. So thank you so much. It was very informative today.
Most definitely.
Thank you all for
Alrighty.
having me.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
very
much,
much.
guys, for letting me sit on this meeting. I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, great.
Same, take
Absolutely. Thanks, Pam. Thanks, Michael. And thanks again, everybody, for joining.
All right. Thank you all, really.
Take care.
Have a good
Stay
day.
blessed.
All
Bye.
right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.